and it's audible. Great. It's New Year here. What about you? There will be posts and comments here? Yes, exactly. The broadcast is being recorded and I'm talking about New Year. Because, friends, what's the most important thing? The mood. Shall I fix it? Yeah, seems fine. Okay. Okay, that's good. Everyone's joining. Today we'll have a very interesting broadcast. Honestly, we're missing a camera and the lighting isn't enough. Let's all gather together for now. We have kids here. You check the comments on your phone. All right. And notes, if you need them. Friends, let's gather. Now we'll adjust the lighting a bit more. This broadcast is special for us, as it will be the first one in this recording. So in any case, yes, if someone can stay until the end, we'll make a recording. It will also be permanently posted on the channel, so you can easily access it at any time and hopefully find something truly useful and beneficial. So please do write in the comment section how the video and audio quality are. You can also raise your hand or simply send a friendly greeting to let us know. Let us know how you're doing. How's your mood? So where do I look at them? Often the chats. Great. Our chats are active as well. The chat has connected us to our channel. All right, it looks better now. Good. So, how many people are live with us? Where do I check the number? Now, dear friends, let's carefully check again. When you resize the screen, we're meticulously adjusting things because usually I do absolutely everything in Zoom. All the numerous webinars I diligently run go through Zoom, and the specific settings there are completely and utterly different. So from time to time, we definitely need to carefully tweak things a little bit. All right. And where exactly should I be looking at this precise moment? So I can already clearly see that there are 24 of us present here. That's good. However, my face still appears quite dark. I won't like this. That's definitely better, but it's still not very clearly visible. It seems the camera is diligently trying to focus so that you can clearly and distinctly see me. Great. It's even much better now. Good. Truly wonderful. You can both hear and see me. All right. We are steadily gathering, actively joining in, and effectively connecting. You can join with video if you wish, or simply listen, turn it on however you prefer. The essential information is constantly being updated and refined and made available to everyone. There's a lot happening in my life right now. And actually, I want to share it. I want to, because people come to the sessions, and it's really striking, really just amazing. Yes, and actually, you see, it's focusing the other way around. If the camera here were any good to see, here's what happens. It doesn't blind me, but you can barely see me. I turned on this huge flash right in my eyes because of this device. And now I'm suffering because of it. Let's try turning it off there. Hold on. Turn it back on. Just a moment. Bear with me, my dears. There we go. Yes, indeed. Absolutely. So what now? All right. Maybe the picture isn't as important here as the sound. Just like that. Now you can see me well. All right. Okay. Go ahead. Turn the light on. All right. That's precisely why what we are going to thoroughly discuss today, my dearest friends, is that very significant topic that always deeply concerns everyone and that I consistently bring up at every single training session. And for this specific purpose, I've meticulously developed my own unique techniques that clearly show your movement in a certain distinct direction. And this particular direction inherently possesses a certain powerful energy that is naturally generated within you. You see, moving forward is shaped by your intention. And your intention needs to be pure and clear, absolutely clear for you. First and foremost, so do you understand in what sense this energy should be for you? It should be, how can I put it, pure, strong, distinct compared to what you usually experience in everyday life. In other words, the purer and more refined it is, the chain you undoubtedly know precisely what that is. What it truly means, the stronger and more potent the impulse that diligently works to fulfill your ultimate goals becomes. That's it. Now that we've set up logical lighting, we can come in and communicate calm. That's it. We're having a broadcast with you about how to choose the right direction and what drives you, faith or fear. And when we... Lara. No, I don't like her. I can't. That's all. When we work on ourselves and our sensations are clear and understandable, and we channel them through the body vibrationally, we feel ourselves in this space as a certain desire that forms inside the body, especially within the heart chakra, the heart center, and in different let's call it that. Thank you for writing, friends. Thank you for giving me feedback. Someone wrote to me that I can be seen just fine without the light, otherwise I struggle. When this feeling forms inside that, yes, I really want this, the best motivator is to ask yourself what you want and naturally to ask the upper center. It is the most sensitive, the most responsive, and the most vulnerable. And most importantly, it's through this chest area a vibration already occurs, spreading to the shoulders and accordingly to the arms. Because with our hands, we invent or create something, not with our feet. Our legs carry us somewhere, then our hands get involved, and the hands already use a certain kind of sensory perception. Why do I most often work with my hands? Of course, we can disconnect our hands and work with our head, but that's more general. So when we want to do something in the best possible way, to check if your desire is genuine, you can ask yourself about your sensations, about what drives you these two concepts. I would also recommend this approach to you. I have already done a live stream on the Awaken channel. There is a special chat, a special channel, and it's a paid channel. The cost is only 1,100 rubles per month. There, everyone is awake and those who truly feel something and share it. I've already drawn this analogy and I ask you to do the same, including creating a note on a piece of paper, writing down two positions, faith and fear. And in the center, right here, is desire. This desire has two arrows. You can subject this desire or intention to scrutiny and two arrows, faith and fear. And every time you need to make an especially important decision, unfortunately, you have to do it through visualization because we, as people, still operate with thoughts and mental images. And only after that do we form the material world. But first, we must sense and feel it, and only then do something physically. So, draw these two aspects, faith and fear, and then you need to run this feeling through yourself. Why do we do this? So, what can I say? the most important thing in order to truly move forward and make significant progress in their lives. People most often come to me in my professional practice, seeking guidance and earnestly asking me how they can effectively find and cultivate their inner energy and how they can successfully acquire and harness this vital and often elusive resource that is so crucial for sustained personal and professional growth. Because as a general rule, people have already gone through a great many different practices, have read a lot, and in fact, there is often a kind of fatigue from spiritual searching, from searching for themselves in this vast world. The question of so-called purpose. Who exactly am I? What precisely am I? Why do I truly live? Why am I doing all of this? Will this bring me genuine joy or lasting pleasure, and so on? This is the most important question I have asked myself, my friends have asked, and I want to share it with you because this is essentially the very first and most important thing you fundamentally need to effectively overcome and completely let go of whatever is currently draining your valuable energy and vitality. And there are a truly huge number of different possible actions. Simply things left unchosen, some kind of decision, already indicates that someone is taking this energy from you. You know, there are indecisive people. Should I go or not go? Buy or not buy? Think about it or not? What should I do? What if this happens, right? This constant doubting, this hesitation, it just wears you out. Some people can't make up their minds about some trivial thing for years. All this unnecessary fuss, all this pervasive uncertainty is actually the very first and most crucial main element to look at and effectively cut off the path to energy drain. This very energy, which is vital for our well-being and productivity, needs to be carefully protected. We often talk about a certain kind of conscious person. I did this as well, a broadcast about the path of the master, about a wise person who really knows a lot, has walked the path, and so on. But let's be honest. First and foremost, you need to sort yourself out and remove all the limitations that drain your energy. That's basically it. So you could say this on the record however you like, but you'll find in this structure maybe a piece of yourself and your own understanding. Or do you have that resonates with you? Maybe you have this too, and if you do, then highlight it, write it down, and walk through it. Yes, so that it finally falls away from your field, and so you simply stop thinking about it. Because we can transform and improve ourselves when we work through our internal limitations, our inner triggers, and so on. And unfortunately, we were born into certain circumstances where we weren't taught, but rather we were instructed on how to live the right way. There isn't some book we can open that tells us exactly how to live correctly. Everyone has their own theory about it. So you just need to take, that's how I see it in this context, and underline it boldly. Highlight what resonates with us and work with that. Really work with this block. Hang it right on your fridge, please, friends. Put it on your fridge and keep your attention on it. Attention, attention, attention. And that's what I do every time. What did I do today? Did I work through something? And why is this happening at home? Today, I had a young girl come in for a personal session. For many years, she hasn't been able to sleep properly. She falls asleep closer to 7 a.m. and suffers because of it. Why? Because she's gotten used to being in that state. When she's at rest, her mind starts thinking about plans, different actions, things she needs to do tomorrow, instead of reprogramming yourself to feel whole, letting your body heal overnight so everything can reset the system. You see, it needs a reboot. But instead, she starts thinking that's what she's used to. So what's the way out of this situation? Give yourself the chance to run the same program you do at night, but during the day. For example, if you have insomnia or trouble falling asleep, try this. Take the same amount of time you spend lying awake at night. Divide it in half, because during the day, this process usually goes faster. Enter a meditative state. Reflect, and then, when you're about to fall asleep, simply set the intention to sleep. And when your brain tries to trick you, like, but I want to think about this, you can remind yourself, I've already gone through that process during the day. In this way, you detach old patterns from your actions and teach your brain to work differently. But there always has to be a substitute in other words, as you know, we always. I remembered it with you when we're in a bad mood. We comfort ourselves with a treat, like beer, chips, ice cream, or something else. It's a trick. So here too is a trick. We're always looking for a substitute. Let the substitute take over and move forward. That's good. So the very first and primary cause of spiritual fatigue is this pervasive feeling of stagnation and profound disappointment, a deep sense of unfulfillment. The person feels like they're stuck on a certain path, and doubts arise about choosing a new direction. Stagnation, a question that keeps coming up in cycles, and they can't move on to something else, to a new level, because the person realizes they're doing something, but nothing is changing. And of course, when you reach this realization that nothing is working, the next step, as they say, is to take action. But let me repeat, right now I'm just stating these points briefly. If you recognize yourself in this, then let's move on. The next second point is having unrealistic expectations about the results you get. That is, you want some kind of instant enlightenment, a quick result of some sort. And so naturally you end up disappointed when reality doesn't match those expectations. So this kind of thing happens too if you recognize yourself in this, just note it, acknowledge that it's there. I want to emphasize the next third point. Overloading yourself with all sorts of courses and the so-called eternal student syndrome. When you're constantly learning something new and can't bring yourself to take real action, you always feel like something is missing. You say, yes, I start making money, but I still need to gain more knowledge. I'm not skilled enough yet. I don't know enough yet, though. Can I possibly start working if I lack some experience in something with someone? That's why you're constantly. For example, today I had a girl in my practice who said, I can't, I always. I earn a lot of money, and yet I end up spending almost all of it on education. I'm constantly a student. I'm always buying some kind of training programs. And it seems to me that if I don't keep learning, I won't be able to keep up with this pace of progress. So you see, it's a kind of illusion. In reality, to know something, it's not necessary to constantly be learning from someone. You receive exactly the knowledge you need for your own fulfillment. Right now, in this moment, there's no need to acquire a huge amount. The knowledge I gain, I receive from the flow. And that flow is you, my friends. That is, clients, requests, they come to me actively, and I don't pay a single penny for advertising at all. We've even done some experiments. But most importantly, I simply share my experience, what I do. And people come to me. That's all there is to it. And yes, there's one more thing. I've only attended training twice. That's it. Everything else. I simply received only those people who came to me. Yes. So it's not about constantly studying or learning something life itself. We teach you, it gives you this knowledge on its own. That's why the student syndrome is one of those things that keeps you from finding yourself on this spiritual path, on some kind of path. So emphasize this for yourself if you found it. The next crucial point to consider is the pursuit of absolute perfectionism. Perfectionism often means always wanting to be better than others. It's that kind of thing. I've personally gone through this experience myself, and I genuinely want to convey this important idea to you as well, because it's a subtle trap that truly doesn't allow you to grow and develop on your own, because it always seems like someone else is perpetually one significant step ahead, or perhaps one substantial step higher, or somehow inherently cooler than you are. Yeah, like he has an audience, he's participating in something somewhere, and who am I? Nothing, my friends. I started from scratch. I had 0 followers on Instagram, 0 subscribers on YouTube, and so on. Absolutely. And that wasn't so long ago. So if I had thought there are strategies like that when you keep an eye on your competitor and try to surpass them, I never followed competitors or people who were better than me. Why? Because I have my own path, my own experience. That's why I don't need to be the best, to be someone else. I don't consider myself better than anyone else. I simply take the position that I can help people. That's all. So you can underline that. Take it for yourself too, if you want. So that's why if you've already been to my training, you might have noticed that the very first main principles, the rules I give, are about non-judgment. Non-judgment. First, towards yourself. As a person now, do I feel less? Do I not shout as loudly as others? Why is the person on the right crying and I'm not crying? So does that mean I'm bad? I have a problem? And so on. Blaming myself. This is the non-judgmental position. If we refuse, if we don't compare ourselves to others in life, well, I use the example of practices in trainings, but why are practices good? In practice, we model the situation in action. So we actually experience that very moment. We take this pattern and transfer it into our lives. Wherefore, in just 4 hours of a short training or over a multi-day program, we can relive a significant part of our lives and develop a new system for moving forward. That's precisely why the essential task here is to consciously let go of some of your previously held experiences and diligently acquire entirely new knowledge by effectively receiving it through the physical body. The absolute coolest way. When you enter a new community, new society, networking events, take some new actions, and you let go of your previous experience, you don't impose it. You don't put on the label of I'm a cool expert, I have tons of followers, I'm not good enough, I don't know anything at all. Everyone here looks so cool and well dressed, but in reality they're just showing off. In fact, the most valuable thing they have is that they just arrived, paid for a taxi, and on the way back they're probably thinking about who they can ask for money. We have absolutely no idea how all of this really works or what's actually going on, especially on social media, social networks. This feeling of perfectionism, if you have it, it's the same thing. We highlight it, emphasize it, identify the trigger, and look at it. Naturally, we will disconnect from it, because it doesn't let us live our lives properly. I'll be honest, there were times when I was subscribed to certain people, followed them on Instagram, kept up with them everywhere, and honestly, they didn't reflect reality. Yeah, so I really realized that it was easier for me to just disconnect from them, to just stop following them. Then I realized that they're cool, that everything works out for them. And then I started to understand why I looked at the situation and realized that they're not any better than me at all. And I realized that I'm not any worse. There's this situation and it's temporary. I mean, sometimes things just don't quite work out for someone, and that's perfectly normal. It's entirely normal to find yourself in a state of deep personal crisis, a truly challenging situation. That happens too. Normal in what sense? Because every person goes through this. Absolutely. Every person, if you've never been at rock bottom, or if you've never had nothing, if you've never lost relationships or something else, if you just haven't gone through that yet, you will definitely have it. Someday it will come so that you can take a closer look at your life, because that's just how it is. So any problems that happen are absolutely normal. But if you have these points that he listed, and if you just tuned in and watched the broadcast and listened to them, find yourself in them, write them down on your fridge, and work on them. Work on them, that is, you need to move away from those patterns you set for yourself. No, there isn't a single solitary block within a person's mind or their physical body that we haven't ourselves placed there. Everything is put there by us. As a body therapist, I'll tell you honestly, everything is put there by the person themselves. It's their will to put up some kind of block or to remove it, to drive some kind of serpent out of their body, or to invite in some kind of demon. That is, you yourself invite abusers into your family or whoever else, or you yourself get hired by some crazy employer, or perhaps someone quite strange. You consciously choose these individuals yourself, but they ultimately stay in your life for exactly as long as you are truly willing to tolerate their continued presence. That's Alani life can be easily changed. How to do it, I'm telling you right now. This is one of those points, take note of it, and let's move on. Next, ignoring this is the next crucial point, ignoring your own real and genuine needs. When you completely substitute your personal needs with the needs of your beloved loved ones. Yes. So it turns out that, for example, I also lived a certain significant part of my life, and I truly realized that I wasn't actually living for myself. I mean, I was perfectly fine, but how should I put it? I was primarily living according to my wife's specific needs, not my own. And honestly, for many men, this is typical guys who are listening to me right now, especially those who are married, often experience this. The money they earn, my intention was to just take it all and give everything away, keeping nothing for myself. Why? Because it's not that little, and yet it still gets spent. So you could say that it turned out that my life, my path was not shaped. It turns out I created this kind of ring, a karmic loop that didn't allow me to feel fulfilled myself. That's also a kind of mistake. That's why we say that first and foremost, you need to feel yourself physically, to sense yourself. Yes, as vibrational beings, you all already know that we are vibrational. We can sense these subtle vibrations not only when we inadvertently stick two fingers into a socket, but we constantly work with this profound concept in our practices. And it's actually really cool to really feel with your hands when energy is leaving you, or rather, you can feel the energy that vibrates from your fingers, yes, and also from another person. Why? Because it gives you understanding. It shows you that what you create is all real, even the invisible thing. The profound fact that you can truly expand your consciousness and achieve even greater, more significant results The limitations in your mind simply disappear. And that's really cool. That's precisely why most of these particular practices are thoughtfully designed to genuinely make you want to express yourself more fully. Next point, number 6. So the 6th point is the loss of connection with reality. When you immerse yourself too deeply in some kind of philosophy, especially esoteric ones or abstract concepts, and let's say you find yourself not so much in the material world, but somewhere else, right? Or in some other world, right? You feel enlightened. Well, this especially applies to people who are into esotericism, into the esoteric, right? So I had such a moment myself. The same thing I'm talking about, all the triggers, about all these moments. I'm basically an encyclopedia of all of life's problems because I've lived through all of this, every single moment, absolutely. And these moments were really quite powerful for me. The people around me had no idea what language I was even speaking. My eyes were just wide open, like 5 copper coins. Everything was really stirring me up, shaking me, and so on. Why? Because I started looking deeper than I wanted to. Didn't want to. Deeper than I could look before, right? I saw energies. I saw my fingers glowing. I saw energies in the space around me. I started moving objects with my hands. I started influencing people. I started, hitting people from a distance. I mean, honestly, I don't know. I don't know. I was living in some other world. In other words, I started to actively and intensely develop my abilities. That's it. And to live in that world. But as a result, I can say that I practically gave up the material world. What did that affect? It affected my finances, my relationship with where I live, my diet, and everything else. That's it. So you always need to find a balance in what you read. And also, when you come to my practices, I ask you very much, I explain everything in quite a material, down-to-earth way. You see, my friends, I'm not some spaced out person, I'm here. I'm grounded. And everything I present to you now, including my method, Neurowave, which I specifically renamed, it used to be called Energy Wave. It was quite popularized, and it wasn't even clear whose method it was. That's it. But I understand that it needs to be justified from the perspective of neural connections. They fit very logically into people's minds, especially in the scientific community, because we know neurons exist, and these aspects, yes, when we don't go too far. We're not opening the crown chakra here, not meditating, not filling out the space, but instead we're clearly receiving the information we need at this particular moment, right? We're not drifting off somewhere far away. That's why this connection to the real world is so important. If you're the kind of person who tends to drift off, take note. If you spend more than, say, 5 hours a day doing things like floating around in the clouds, in the astral plane, it becomes harder for you to experience the sensations in the material world. That's it. So even in my own practice and what I do, I don't drift off anywhere. I stay present with the person. That's it. That's precisely why I understand this so clearly. And I'm telling you this now. Our fundamental task, the essential task of any individual person on our material planet, is to fully and emotionally experience all feelings within the body. We need to live through them. The bad ones, the good ones, absolutely all of them. And in doing so, to understand the entire spectrum of, let's say, energy, the sensations that exist on planet Earth, that's all. This is our creative development. We have no other way out here. Absolutely. That's why we talk about opening up sensitivity through the body. We don't open up sensitivity by drifting off into the astral. Next, number 8. Let's keep writing. Loss of joy, loss of joy and lightness. Because what we have right now doesn't make us happy, whether it's food, cars, vacations, or anything else. I would even say it's not so much about joy as it is about lightness. That lightness when we open our eyes in the morning, that lightness when we close our eyes and go to sleep, right? And when we interact with people at work, yes, and with those who give us money, this is very important. It's the very first and most important thing. When clients or anyone at work gives you money, accepting that money should be done with absolute ease and grace, from the person who generously gives it to you and from the person who readily receives it, that is, you. It is important to underline this crucial point. The entire process of giving and receiving money should always be done with utmost ease, and really emphasize, please underline it boldly. Do you do this? Yes. Does it work out this way for you? Because this is exactly what creates the feeling of so-called flow. It can't be any other way. I used to be an employee. I worked for more than 20 years, and I live from paycheck to paycheck. And at times, this really weighed me down significantly. I truly realized how incredibly hard it was to earn money. So what specific goal did I set for myself? I don't want to live like that. It makes me uncomfortable. I don't get any pleasure from it. I want things to be different. And I thought about this every day. And since I kept thinking about it, naturally things started to move, things started to change. I don't just think about it. I analyze, compare. My mind is always working, Then I run it through my body, asking myself if I really need it or not, and so on. But let me say it again. This point is very important. You need to enjoy what you're doing, what you're bringing to life. That's important. All right, let me just take a quick sip of water. Now, let's move on to the very most important part. A life without fear. Where do our fears reside? Thank you for the water. Where do our fears reside? Of course, they're somewhere in our main center. I explained to everyone where it is. Where do we actually start living from? We start living from our main center in the abdomen, where the Kundalini is coiled. I'm explaining everything to you. So it's coiled. There are some people depict it as a snake. I really enjoy talking with Kundalini practitioners. Who here has gone through Kundalini activation? There you go. Wonderful masters. There you go. Some people truly feel it, some actually see it, and others experience it quite differently. But why basically does the Kundalini snake sleep there, so to speak? Because there isn't yet that free environment, let's put it that way, one that isn't blocked. And what does it reach for? The energy, yes, Kundalini word. To put it simply, it's still energy. It reaches upwards like a flower. There was even an experiment where they placed two flowers. Well, yes, actually, there were even three flowers. Three flowers. One flower. So basically, they kept praising it all the time, right? They planted the seed, and as a result, it started to grow. The second flower was constantly scolded, and the third flower was completely ignored. Well, it was just there, standing next to the others, but received no attention at all. So the thing is, quite naturally, the flower that was scolded, it grew, yes, but only to a certain rather limited level. The flower that was praised grew even more, and the one that was ignored, nothing happened to it at all. So this is about how the process of attention works. This is a real experiment. You can look it up or even try it yourself. There are many such examples. There you go. So how should I put it? Here you have immaterial things. Yes, like a flower. We can influence something. The same thing happens in our bodies as well. So if we don't do anything, if we don't develop ourselves, if we don't even try to move forward, even if we end up with a bump on the head, right? Even if we run into some other problems, but if we don't do anything, that very energy will just stay dormant at the bottom. Why is that? Because we're afraid to go anywhere. And so our fear itself, is located in the stomach. It's sometimes even called animal fear, a term that sounds similar. So that's where it is. And the less we move, the less we realize ourselves, the less this energy will rise upward. So where does this fear come from? Now let's take a look and break it down. Yes. As a person of science, I am a candidate of pedagogical sciences. A candidate of pedagogical sciences. If anyone isn't familiar with me, didn't know who I am or what I do, well, I've been graduating students in pedagogy for over 20 years. And why was it easy for me to teach students? Why is it easy for me to convey material? Well, I hope I'm explaining it to you well enough, because this is a path that, well, became interesting to me, you know. In other words, no one forced anyone into anything. I'm genuinely interested in this. I enjoy explaining things, teaching people. What's the main thing? The most important thing is to find material you're passionate about, that you want to talk about. Right now, I found such a topic. And for me, structure is important. It's important to me that everything is broken down and organized, that everything is put on the shelf, so to speak, and that you find your own concepts here. So you can write this down, right? Living out of furies, that's one of the factors of this concept. When you constantly avoid risks that your expectations might not be fully met. And well, a person who, of course, takes calculated risks, you know, in a company, business, anyone who actively does business, you can take something that's already been invented and achieve well, only so-so or merely average results. Or, as I say, you can take a real risk, do something new, and then it could be absolutely, you know, 10 times, 100 times better compared to what was before. So in this same position, I took a risk in my own work as well. I began to do things that no one else had ever truly done before. Everyone was creating certain energy practices, some specific movements, various breathing techniques, and some people even work with energy orgasms or overall profound sensations, right? But no one was specifically engaged in the precise and careful extraction of blocks, AA blocks in a certain, very particular and specific way. It's very important that this is done in an ecologically safe way for that person. That's it. So I had to take this kind of risk, you know, to put myself out there. I have already said today that I've basically been politely asked to leave almost every single office in Moscow because people in my sessions tend to scream very, very loudly. And naturally, other individuals don't particularly like that at all. In fact, they really dislike it. I say, I can't work any other way. So what should I do? Should I adapt to society, basically, and remove from my practice certain methods that cause people to have an emotional release? I decided not to follow the crowd, and instead I chose my own unique path, which felt right for me. There are drummers sitting nearby, or rather, some shamans, not drummers, shamans making these sounds, right? And they're even louder than me, louder than my clients. And yet, of course, people are irritated specifically by the real, genuine emotional screams of other people. This is an important nuance, yes, regarding risk. I'm just giving it as an example. Look at yourself. See what it is that you do. So the common situation where a person consistently tries to avoid any kind of perceived risk to get away from any discomfort is quite prevalent. There's a comfortable couch. It's really nice and inviting. There's also a well-stocked fridge, and it's absolutely full of delicious food. That's it. And you need to get up from it and move on. That's it. So if you find within yourself that you're truly afraid to take significant risks, right? Then you just need to, on the contrary, deliberately set yourself a challenging task, and perhaps once a month or whenever a relevant situation comes up, consciously respond to these events and intentionally take decisive action well. You absolutely have to work through it somehow. You have to move to an entirely different level. You need to deliberately take calculated risks and truly see how far you can actually go, test yourself, and observe how well you can genuinely work through this internal vibration within yourself. Right? The situation of being afraid not to do something. That's why the comfort zone is one of the main reasons people don't give up. That's why I specifically mentioned the couch, the food, and everything else. It's not for nothing that people often choose to bury themselves in some kind of pit, or indeed go into dark retreats such as Vipassana meditation and so on and so forth. There are a lot of different systems now. Basically, they were originally free or cost next to nothing at all. But now people are making a significant amount of really good money off them because people truly realize they won't organize it themselves. It's much, much easier for them to hand over the full responsibility to someone else, to have someone else completely do it for them, right? You have a room locked yourself in the bathroom. You have nail stand on them. That's it. And so, in other words, we're stepping out of our comfort zone. So whenever you have a valuable opportunity, take a calculated risk, take a significant risk, and truly go for it. If you're genuinely afraid to do it, make sure to highlight it for yourself, perhaps underline it, hang it up prominently, and make it your absolute number one priority. Accordingly, you absolutely need to diligently work on this. Taking necessary risks is a completely normal and essential part of life, something that everyone inherently deals with and experiences. And please just accept this as a fundamental rule. There should always be a certain degree of risk in your life, and of course it should be thoroughly justified. That is to say, it's certainly not about, for example, carelessly playing around on the volatile stock market and then subsequently losing all of your hard-earned money. There should be a reasonable, natural, and well-considered level of risk. That's it. And so that it doesn't traumatize your life or leave you with nothing, that's important. Moving on. The second significant point about fear, which you can also certainly note for yourself, is a very strong and pervasive need for control. A truly strong and undeniable need for control. I don't know who this is more typical for, girls or boys. Look at yourself, because it really does vary a lot. But the process, when we can't delegate this, I'm already taking a position from some kind of coaching, from business ideas. But there are certain things we can delegate. And that way, it will be easier for us to live. That's it. But constantly keeping everything under control, especially when we're talking about children. And as a result, what kind of children do we end up with? They end up being weak-willed. They're used to their parents making all the decisions for them. And now, most importantly, what about us, right? If we were indeed controlled, it's significantly harder for us to truly take risks, precisely because that control was exercised over us by our parents. Accordingly, as many of you who are experienced psychologists undoubtedly understand, this is precisely the very same fundamental issue that we can also effectively work through. How do we work through it? First, we write things down and accordingly look at them. When we are shaping our lives, we are now developing those positions. What drives you? Is it willpower or not willpower, but faith or fear? So now, if you found more fear, it means you are living in fear, dear friends. Well, you understand, living out of fear is not the best position to be in. You won't get very far that way. That's precisely why it's important, of course, to effectively address the controller in our head. This is indeed the very first and most important request from people who come to my workshops. My mind thinks too much, it tries to control everything. I don't feel my body. If you find yourself unable to quiet your mind and truly connect with your physical body, then accordingly, it simply cannot properly vibrate and generate those very profound sensations that perfectly synchronize with the powerful vibrations and incredible possibilities of your life. You actively send out your unique vibrations from within your physical body, and your body truly feels and perceives them. Not here, not here, but your entire body genuinely feels and deeply experiences it. It says, do we even need this or not? Is this tasty or not tasty? That's why you can touch and feel some things. All your senses are working. But there is a sixth sense. And this sixth sense, it doesn't necessarily come from here. It comes from the whole being. It comes from the body as a whole. Yes, we can work with the pineal gland. We also do this in our practices. But it's not like there's a specific antenna coming out from here that opens up your sensitivity and you understand that you see from here. It doesn't work like that at all. That's it. I mean, I've just had too many energy practitioners and all sorts of people. It's all very interesting to explain and talk about. But please, my friends, disconnect yourself from this very narrow perception that it's just this one sensor working or something like that. Absolutely everything works together as a whole. There's no such thing as just one thing working and giving you some kind of signal. We are, after all, a single energy structure connected everywhere. If we feel something, yes, like, I don't know, every mother feels her child somewhere when they're out and about. Every guy driving, when he's at the wheel, he can feel when his car is being overtaken from behind. Somehow, this feeling, I'm not sure how to describe it. It's something that develops over time. And in some micro milliseconds, you make decisions of an astonishing nature. That's it. Why? Because in that moment, we're not in control. In that moment, we turn off our minds. Yes, that's the most important thing. So if you're controlling, you're acting out of fear because you're afraid of losing control. That's why it's so important here to finally switch off this mechanism, which for a certain period of time isn't needed. In fact, in some moments, it's really not necessary at all. Some very important decisions you've already realized you don't make with your head because everything is quite logical and rational. But here, something just doesn't feel right. And it's in this moment that you finally move away from fear. The more you tune into your body, that's why it's important to realize this right now. This is an important point to emphasize, right? Over-controlling. When you fall into this concept, it means you highlight your shortcomings and work on them. Work on them through practice, and more practice. That's why I came here to you. And honestly, I don't even know who came to whom. Maybe you came to me. Next. The third point is frequent feelings of anxiety and doubt. Anxiety is located right here, and your doubts are here in your chest. It usually comes from your childhood traumatic experiences that are stored here, and very often you don't understand why or where it came from. That's precisely why, in a general sense, people often tend to be quite self-critical and constantly doubt whether their important decisions are truly right. That's normal. But when you consistently keep replaying those negative scenarios in your mind, you naturally end up going back into that past trauma. So naturally, you start doubting yourself and are afraid of dealing with certain difficulties. but you truly need to create a profound sense of how to effectively move away from that, right? A deep sense of fullness, of the rich taste and exceptional quality of life that you will gain in exchange for the quality, the anxieties and worries you currently have. You should always put that first. Always. So what happens to the feeling of anxiety then? It will start to dissolve. The more you visualize that beautiful bud, the reason you're going. We're going to travel together to Thailand, to Samui, or I don't know, maybe the Seychelles and so on. But what about the plane, the flights, and everything else? Picture it in your mind. And then everything will gradually start to dissolve. So all these moments can actually be worked through quite well. Point 4. The fourth point is dependence on the opinions of others. This is a very important factor that I also constantly encounter in practice. What will people think? This is exactly the factor that prevents you from expressing yourself. We all usually live in apartments. There's always someone behind the walls. If we start shouting loudly, especially during orgasm, people might think something bad about us. At first, this feeling comes from having your mom, dad, or someone else nearby. And then, as you have children, it continues. I can't fully express myself. And then, in the end, you just get used to living this way. That's it. On the one hand, it's a really quite complicated situation. Everyone's family is truly different. Some live in shared apartments or perhaps something else entirely. That's just how it is. But you came here to this very broadcast to genuinely change. So what exactly does that mean? It means you absolutely need to come out of your protective shell and fully realize that no one at all has a right to judge you. No one whatsoever. Absolutely not. I can even tell you quite directly, you are completely allowed to express yourself freely. I always use the word allowed during practice. And for many people, it turns out to be golden. It's like I'm giving you a program. Your parents didn't say this word, but I'm telling you now. That's it. So I'm simply giving you explicit permission to truly listen to yourself and genuinely do what you inherently need to do. If you've consistently noticed this particular pattern, that you heavily depend on the opinions of others, what your dad will specifically say, what your mom will undoubtedly say, what a relative or colleague at work will potentially say. That's an unhealthy aspect of your continued development. It's the kind of fear that keeps you from opening up and being your true self. Dependence on those immediately around you, on your husband, your wife, what she or he will say, and so on, is inherently unhealthy. The partner who came into your life did so precisely because you genuinely wanted it, and they absolutely shouldn't be limiting you in any way. Husband or wife comes into your life to give, to enrich your life with brighter, better colors. So if you truly feel that someone is actively limiting your potential and you find yourself overly dependent on someone else's opinion or validation, then it is important to try to build your relationships in a way that profoundly allows you to consistently remain authentic to your true self. Just a second. My voice is already getting noticeably hoarse and a bit strained from speaking so much. It's really great when I have a live session and can share these things with you, because during the course and in practice sessions, unfortunately, I don't have much time to work with your mindset. I mostly give people the opportunity to feel their bodies in practice. But this is an essential part. It's important to first open access to the body here in the mind, so that your body can truly express itself. And in your life, this is exactly how you need to approach things. But Let me tell you, my dear friends, this significant problem isn't just for Russia or our entire post-Soviet space. It's a global issue. This situation exists in every country in the world. No matter where I've been, Hong Kong, Thailand, Bali, Dubai, it's the same crap everywhere. People have been made convenient for others. Everyone's mouths have been shut, and they've been denied the chance to express themselves. And now, we, as adults, especially those of us over 40, are experiencing these difficulties. Grown-ups who can't make decisions properly or create a cool, interesting life for themselves. Well, who else is going to create your life for you if not you yourself? Absolutely. So stop listening to those around you. Stop listening to your parents. Parents live by old patterns, old connections. You're a new generation, live the way you need to. Stop listening to anyone at all. Absolutely. This is the fundamental rule. I would definitely say the absolute number one rule. A healthy partner in a relationship is someone who doesn't interfere in your life with advice. Absolutely. Then you will truly be able to clearly hear yourself, not just satisfy the needs of other people. So, please, my friends, you've lived 35, 40, even 5 years. You've lived your life, and you truly feel like you want to feel your entire existence differently somehow. Do it right now. Remove those truly toxic people from your life who consistently drain your valuable energy and vitality. The hardest thing is making unpleasant decisions, especially when it comes to people close to you or if you depend on someone else financially. That's the hardest part. I want to put it this way. I was, it turns out, married for 20 years. And not all of those 20 years, but for the last 10 years, I was living, well, let's say, not for my own needs, but for my family. I created that situation myself. Was I happy? Well, overall, apparently, yes. But if I look back now, I realized that I was living for someone else. And that was an experience. It was a great one. I'm grateful for what I had. I went through a lot of difficulties during that period of my life. But thank God that relationship ended. I have 3 children. They're happy. Everyone is happy. I'm happy too. But making a rational decision to leave a toxic relationship was very difficult, especially when children are involved. Especially, so in these precious moments, if you happen to have even a single minute to spare, please take that valuable time and truly reflect deeply on your thoughts and experiences. Ask yourself a question about every person, every close person who is around you right now. Take a simple piece of paper, then draw some circles, and in the very center write me in a circle, me itself. And place all your close people around it. This could be family, partners, anyone. And for each one, it's a shame I can't draw here. And for each person, draw a line to represent the connection. Just a simple line without an arrow. Then ask yourself this important question. Does this particular person truly drain your energy? Or do they give it to you? It's just a question like that. Let's not get into how exactly it moves. And you draw an arrow in the direction the energy flows. If you clearly see that most of the people around you are constantly draining your valuable energy, then, well, that's bad. How should I put it? It's like sirens are blaring. You need to do something urgently. Yeah, my ear turned red, and you can see it. My left ear is redder than my right one. What could that mean? So, when you actually do this particular exercise, you can even outline it with a distinct red line separately and clearly see how your entire life is truly shaping up over time. Look closely and attentively. Don't rush. Take your time to think deeply about each and every person. Let your feelings genuinely flow. Truly sense it, and then ask yourself this important question. Does this particular person take your valuable energy, or do they generously give it to you? You just really don't need to overthink it analytically at all. Go with your feelings. And you see how your life is coming together. What is it? What kind of relationships? Not yet. This is information for you to think about, so you can reflect and then move forward accordingly. I really truly want, my dearest ones, for you to have significant progress, to have substantial movement forward in your lives, so that you can effectively break away from those connections that you genuinely don't need anymore. And accordingly, the very next important thing you can do, you can meticulously draw circles representing all your potential opportunities. These might be positioned lower, or perhaps they are completely filled in on the other side. You carefully draw these comprehensive circles of all your possibilities. Where exactly would you precisely would you choose to go, right? These wonderful opportunities will be naturally drawn to you accordingly. That is to say, these are indeed the profound opportunities that will truly fill you up, that will genuinely give you abundant energy. If you interact with someone, you do so quite intentionally in order to gain something valuable, to bring something truly meaningful into your life, and feel it completely in this significant way. Next, consider this. Our conversation has become very lively. On the one hand, I thought it would be hard for me to talk to myself because I can't see you. Here I am, talking to myself on the screen, but nevertheless, it seems like the information is coming through. I hope it's reaching you. Just a second. Right now, we're talking about fears your fears. The fifth fear, a negative perception of the future. The future can also be imagined. And for some people, there might not be a future, but damn, what are we living for then? The present. The present is good. We teach everyone. I teach everyone the practice of living in the present. But there should be some desire to expand somewhere. We're not going to live for the future, right? But we should strive for something greater. We should have some desires. That's absolutely normal. That's it. For some, it's a house, a car, and all the rest. Go ahead. The more of these desires you have, the better. The money will definitely come for them. But if you truly see your future in dark colors, then perhaps what you are doing right now isn't really for you. In other words, what you currently have at this very moment doesn't allow you to perceive something greater. Do you need someone to push you, to motivate you, to give you some color in your life? Come on, everything will certainly be fine for you. Well, let's put it this way. If someone in their life genuinely hires a dedicated coach, a trusted mentor, or perhaps someone else entirely, you truly need to understand that you're consistently moving forward on their valuable energy. A lot of people in the info business work with mentors and coaches, and the whole info business is built on, well, not all of it, but a large part of it is based on this very energy. It's a soap bubble. You shouldn't be moving forward on someone else's energy, relying on someone to push you along. Only your true desires matter. You don't need your father or mother pushing you. telling you who to be or what to do, or your wife, or your husband. It has to be your true desire. But your true desire for the future should be your own vision. The one you imagined back in childhood after watching some bright, interesting, beautiful movie. And that's how your vision was formed. Just like many people form an image of the United States, of New York or something else. They arrive and it turns out to be crap. Everything is dirty and there's nothing but crime. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. This means that when a person truly reaches shaving, genuinely reached a certain his own personal vision, a completely new vision often appears, because it's quite a complex and indeed a rather difficult step. And it's good when you successfully reach it, but that essential vision must truly exist. And when there's a negative perception of your own future, you simply can't dream properly. You can't plan effectively or truly believe in your own success. So, PO people, please listen to yourselves. Really. When you say, this isn't for me, I won't manage anyway, what if something goes wrong? If you catch yourself saying these things, take note of them, highlight them, write them down, and stick them on your fridge. And accordingly, you need to look at these and work through them. Fears, as I've said before, are all located down there in our gut. You need to get rid of them from there. You need to live through them so that such thoughts never come up in your head again. We only realize what it is with our mind, with our head, afterwards. People who scream or cry at my trainings, many of them don't even know what it is or why it's happening. The body releases the tension on its own, and only then does it sink in. I remember someone there beat me, raped me, humiliated me, or something else, and self-esteem and so on. So it will come out one way or another, don't worry. The sixth fear, please write it down now. It's turning into a real lecture for us. Attachment to the past. Look, feel yourself. If you're there, attachment to the past. You cling to past mistakes or some failures and are afraid of repeating them. This behavior is filled with the fear of experiencing pain or disappointment again. That is, after some unsuccessful relationships, for example, you avoid new connections or relationships. If you're feeling like that there are great many triggers and very many, if you truly feel it deep down, you're afraid to do something next, to move forward towards something entirely new. Someone is writing a comment to me. What is everyone truly interested in? Write something, yes? Clear out the chat. If you're truly interested in listening, please give a, I don't know, maybe a bright sun emoji. Say hi in the chat if you're there. It's nice to listen. Miroslava wrote, thank you. At least I get some feedback from you. So I know I'm not just talking here for nothing. It takes you absolutely no effort at all to write just a couple of words in the chat. And it would truly make me happy. So just think of it as a kind of exchange, okay? Because I'm really putting myself out there right now. Yeah, and you see, it's a bit one-sided this way. Just write something like cool or interesting. Yeah, and that already makes me happy. And I'll have a sip of water in the meantime.
Для меня проводить эфир – это тоже риск и страх. Я вам скажу честно. Я раньше этого не мог делать.
Doing these live streams is also a risk and a fear, to be honest with you. I couldn't do this before. I used to feel really awkward. Honestly, Lera used to push me, saying, come on, go ahead. People are waiting for you. And I'd say, I can't do it. I can only talk to myself. So please write something and support me on my journey. Write me something in the chat, and I'll keep talking in the meantime, continuing to elaborate. All right. We've already been talking for over an hour. Well, the information is coming across well. I fully realize that what I am saying is indeed profoundly relevant. So the past always truly matters and holds significant importance, so that we do not inadvertently make mistakes in the future. However, it absolutely should not trigger us into certain impulsive actions going forward. If something didn't quite work out for you in a relationship, in business, or on some particular trip, if you got sick or something unexpected happened, it certainly doesn't mean you'll always be sick or end up in hospitals and so on. That happens quite often, indeed. Don't get too attached to what triggered you so strongly. In life, seriously, you've been through a lot of different and various situations, I'm absolutely sure. Approach this with understanding. Accept that this happens. Yes, it happened. Sometimes people look for some kind of cause and effect relationship. Why did this happen? Well, please, my dear friends, do listen very carefully to me. It happens. It happens. They are coincidences. Coincidences happen too. Our mentor watches over us, God, and everyone else. And why didn't he watch closely enough? Someone got into an accident or something happened. Don't look for someone to blame in this. It happens. Well, sometimes there are just absurd situations, and unfortunately there are absurd deaths, absurd ones. So people, well, I'm already touching on the most sensitive triggers, right? Because after all, what could be worse in this world than essentially a person's death? But with our awareness, with our years of practice, we've come to approach death more calmly, let's say. Yes, of course, it's a completely separate and distinct topic for extensive discussion, but it certainly does require a deep understanding and a genuine acceptance. If you've truly lost something incredibly significant, naturally, you absolutely need to thoroughly go through it, fully experience it, and ultimately gently let it go. And after that, you'll be able to move forward. And the most important thing at this point is that the process of time is very important, of course. It's truly hard to let go of some really serious problems in just a few short hours, a single day, or even say an entire year, right? For example, when I personally went through my difficult divorce, well, I don't know. For a man, that's a very, very short time indeed. I went through it for a year after the divorce. For women, it's at least 3 years. Well, there's nothing you can do about it. So it's just a phase, and you can't really skip over it. That's just how these things are. So here you just need to accept certain situations, go through them a little for some people, a lot, and then let them go. So we accept our past experiences with gratitude and let them go. Here's what I'll say. Read the book, Radical Forgiveness. It's an amazing book. It really helped me a lot. I highly recommend it. There are a few different versions, but honestly, the person who wrote it, the way they voiced it, the way they formulated everything, it's just great. I actually wrote forgiveness letters myself. There's a special technique in there, and it's really amazing. It gives you the ability to let go of things you thought were impossible to let go of. Thanks to this book, I forgave absolutely everyone and quickly reprogrammed myself in about 2 or 3 months. Yeah. So you had to forgive your parents first and then everyone else. But let's put it this way. What's already been invented, especially by scientific publications, by authors, by people who have dedicated their lives to a particular field, we can't just ignore them. We take their work, read it, and apply it to our own lives. I've done a lot of that myself. And of course, I process everything through my own experience before sharing it with you. But please, let's take some kind of foundation, something that will basically help us move away from this fear. Okay? Once again, let me remind you which point we're on, now point 7. And for those who got lost or just joined the stream, we've reached point 7. This is about problems with making decisions when we fall into the fear of the past. The next thing I wanted to mention is can we get away from all these fears and in the end finally be in that calm state. This is first and foremost an awareness. This is the profound realization that yes, this is precisely what we have just accomplished with you. We worked it out and everyone found themselves. Yes, in this sense, you work on yourself, and as you diligently do so, you may indeed feel a strong tendency when you actively distance yourself from it. And consequently, it becomes a much smaller and less part of your life, less and less. Now, please treat this particular moment like a battery evaluates its current state as a percentage of how completely full it truly is. So take a moment to assess the feeling that you currently have in your body. Actually, I really like this when I live in Australia with my children. We would often go to the doctors and the doctors would always ask, please rate your pain. How much pain do you currently feel in your body from 1 to 10? And accordingly, my child would typically say like 5, 7, or even more. This is yet another excellent example of that particular practice. So this kind of rating gives you the opportunity to understand what percentage of this sensation is present in your body. And now, notice how it decreases for you, right? You could even make a scale like this and put it on your fridge. How much of this feeling of fear do you specifically sense in your body after a week as a percentage? There should be some tendency for it to decrease. What are you cutting back on? Have you perhaps broken some important connections, right? This is precisely what we call truly working on yourself. And of course, there's also a crucial third position to consider getting valuable support from a professional at this particular point of view. Let me use myself as an example. That is, someone who can genuinely say, guys, you're perfectly fine. Or, guys, you truly need to work on this particular aspect, or explain precisely how to effectively work through it. This could be any one professional psychologist, for example. You could also turn to a dedicated business coach or someone else who can highlight other significant aspects of your personal perception for you. Any specialist come to my workshops and will help you shed light on certain aspects, okay? That's it. But at some point, when things are really tough, a specialist absolutely must appear in your life. I had such a person. Now I don't need them anymore. But when I needed help, people would show up and highlight important things for me. Professionals, specifically. So, psychologists, if you know any, please. And for those who don't have money, there are always some options you can find. You can always ask someone. Make a note of this for yourself. It's important to remember that fear is a natural feeling, but it shouldn't become the foundation of your life. Can you write that down for yourself? In other words, feeling fear is normal. The question is about its proportion. How much of it do you have? Some level of anxiety that's natural. We're all human. I'm not unfeeling. I get worried sometimes too. Sometimes, when something significant happens at trainings or elsewhere, I'm not some indifferent, unfeeling brute. I still deeply engage my feelings. But those powerful feelings are such that they can genuinely help a person, so that the person feels completely safe, right? That is it's a fundamentally different mechanism. It's not that I take something essential away from the person to make it easier for them. but on the contrary, I actively create a welcoming space so that they feel much more comfortable and at ease, right? So it's truly important to create this nurturing atmosphere, much like a mother, right? A mother naturally creates this deep sense of comfort for her child. And it's equally important that you can genuinely create this profound sense of comfort and safety for your loved one, for someone truly dear to you in your life. This is an incredibly important element for normal, healthy, and truly fulfilling relationships with your business partners, with your family, or indeed with anyone at all. When you are already in such a profoundly calm and peaceful state that you can truly expand, go far beyond your own personal field, and gently envelop your cherished loved ones, entire family in this expansive and comforting field. It's a really cool technique. You can use this technique where we practice it during our sessions, right? We actually train to do this in real life, but you can use this profound care and a certain kind of focus, attention, tension, yes, a truly enveloping attention to envelope the person. With this genuine care and dedicated attention, you can heal people because that's the most fundamentally important principle. And you already know what the very highest level of vibration is. The highest level of vibration on our planet Earth. Well, I'm curious, really. Please write in the chat. I'm genuinely interested to see what you write. Come on, I'll wait. Write down what you think is the highest level of vibration on our planet Earth. Yes, more. More. I want more. Keep writing. Come on, keep writing. Yes, come on, write. Keep writing. You can use any symbol you like there. The very highest, because when you write this, you're transmitting it to me. In fact, you're transmitting it to everyone. Here right now we have 55 people. Imagine a hall with 55 people. That's quite a lot. And we're all live right now. If you write this word, the highest degree of vibration, yes, then it is actually transmitted to everyone around you. You are creating this field. Man, I feel so happy. My heart starts to vibrate even stronger. Come on, don't stop. More. Well, you can write everyone. So 55 people write everyone. Everyone.
Мне на самом деле это важно. Скажу честно.
This really truly matters to me a great deal. I'll be honest. I'm getting support. There's an energy exchange happening between us. When you write, on one hand, you wrote it with a pen, yes, but it goes into the field, and we immediately start working better together. Write the word. A word is always better than a symbol. The symbol is, well, let's just say, not quite the same. When you form a word, every letter matters. When you do this, you send a signal to the people you interact with. What happens then? Your energy exchange improves. You immediately expand in that moment. On one hand, I'm telling you something, yes, but at the same time, some healing is happening for you. I don't know what requests you came with, but this request, the one you're getting right now, in the moment of perception gives you the feeling, wow, this is awesome. Wow, it clicked. Wow, that's interesting. Right? So it's the feeling that you're not alone in this moment. There are a lot of you here. Right now, there are already 58 people. As I understand it, when you send a message, people who haven't joined the chat yet connect. And as a result, there are more of us. Look at how energy works, right? So as soon as you send your attention somewhere, it immediately becomes interesting to someone else. People keep joining, and there are already many more of us now. So then,
Мне стало теплее, лучше. То есть это получается.
Then I truly realized, damn, I feel much warmer. I feel significantly warmer and did much better. So, does that actually mean I've now picked up this particular phrase from you? Right? I mean, from the viewers, from the listeners, perhaps? Now what? Now I want more, right? So you got me going. I feel a surge. Yeah, people are listening to me. There's some kind of response. Now I want more. How does this work in real life? If I have an audience of people sitting in front of me and everyone is turned the other way, all I see are the backs of their heads, then I'm not really interested in talking, right? But when you write, and especially when it's such an important word, right? You said it correctly. The highest form of vibration is love. And when you write, when you say these words, you create this vibration in the body. I actually started to vibrate in a good way. Thank you. There are already 59 of us. Send it out. Even more people will join us now. Why? Because you sent out your energy. The chat, the number of people in the chat is growing. As soon as you send out the word love. So now we are getting to the most important part of this discussion. I truly wanted to thank you from the very bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for the thoughtful words you just sent. They are profoundly important to me. They truly matter to me as a master who transmits this vital energy, right? And I actually started to feel really, really good. Why? Because I'm ready to give more and more again, to give, to transmit. Now I realize that, in fact, I can do even more. Even though it seemed like I was already finishing up. Yeah, I've been talking for an hour and a half, so I thought the energy was spent. But no, now it's been replenished. I'm ready. But unfortunately, we're going to be wrapping up soon. We've come to the most important part. We have 60 people, friends. Excellent. You just sent me these messages, and right away, 7 more people joined us. There you go. So, the path of faith is truly what provides us with profound inner strength, the unwavering strength and boundless energy that are essential to continuously keep us moving forward on our life's journey. Indeed, faith is a remarkably elevated and deeply spiritual feeling that uplifts the human spirit. It's a profound feeling that no matter what challenges we face, we will still ultimately achieve enjoyment, a positive and satisfying result. And even if we encounter some kind of, in the very end, I truly don't know how to articulate this particular word. It's certainly not a bad word, right? I'll say it in English, fuck up. So if we don't quite get something, then we remain in a profound state of deep calm, a state of complete acceptance. And still, by maintaining a sense of faith, we will keep moving forward. This is a philosophy, right, or a psychological concept that describes 2 main approaches to life and decision-making. These fundamental concepts are often contrasted with each other as 2 distinctly different ways of perceiving reality and interacting with the wider world. The path of faith is primarily based upon profound and unwavering trust in yourself, the entire universe. So here, it doesn't matter whom you believe in, God, or which specific God, right? It could be the creator, your mentor, your higher self, or some kind of universal space. The main thing is that you have trust in life in general, because a person is used to always being under control and is often not ready to act. Hey. Ready to shift some responsibility onto someone. And if you believe in yourself that, yes, I can do it, then you achieve the result in the highest vibrations. Because beneath faith, there are often even higher vibrations. like love,
Поэтому
right? Like
вы
gratitude towards the people around you,
двигаетесь вперед, несмотря
towards
ни
the
на что.
people
У
who
вас
move
появляется
forward
мужество,
together
у вас
with you.
появляется
So
ощущение любви на
you
принятие решения. И
keep
вы
moving
находитесь, самое
forward
главное,
no
в
matter what.
гармонии с самим
You
собой.
gain courage. You
Гармоничность
gain a sense of love
появляется
when
тогда,
making
когда
decisions,
у
and
вас
most importantly, you find
ощущение
harmony with
всей
yourself,
тревожности и
right?
страхов уходит.
In other words,
Вот
harmony
гармония
appears
в самом
when
начале
all feelings
бывает,
of
да,
anxiety
бег
and
или страх.
fear
Что
leave your
вами
body.
движет, когда вы
In this
выбираете
particular concept,
какую-то
when we
определенную
initially
направление?
drew at the very
У
beginning,
вас
right?
также в
Faith
процентном
or fear,
отношении
what truly
какая-то
drives you when
стрелочка
you choose a
может быть
certain
более
mission
ярко
or a specific
выраженная.
direction. You
Почему?
might
Потому
also
что
have,
вы
in
упираетесь,
percentage
цепляетесь
terms,
со страхом,
one arrow
с
that
теми
stands out
понятиями,
much
которые
more
вас
clearly.
окружают.
Why is that the
Поэтому
case? Because you
вера
effectively
всегда
remove
ведет
the
к
connections with
развитию,
fear, with those
к
limiting
свободе,
concepts that
к
surround you.
росту.
That's
Да?
precisely why
Она
faith
сопряжена с
always leads
рисками,
to
но
genuine
результат, который вы
development, to
получите,
true freedom, to
наиболее
significant growth,
эффективный.
right? Yes, it certainly comes with
Друзья мои
inherent
хорошие,
risks,
вы
but the ultimate result you
сейчас
ultimately get
на
is the most profoundly
этом
effective.
нашем семинаре, я не знаю, я его
My
как
dear
семинар
friends,
назвал.
you
Вот.
right now at
Можете
this our seminar,
эти
I don't
все
even know, I
записи,
actually call it a
основные
seminar.
пункты
So you can certainly
обязательно
take
выделить
all
на
these
книжку,
valuable
на
notes,
доску,
highlight the
начнете
most
двигаться,
important main points,
и
be
я
sure to
буду
set them
периодически
carefully
проводить
aside,
эфиры подобные,
use them as a
мне
comprehensive
дадут
guide,
возможность
and then
дальше
confidently
двигаться
move
и
forward.
идти на новый уровень.
And I will periodically hold
Я
such
считаю, что
informative
то,
broadcasts,
что сейчас
similar ones,
совершилось,
that will
даст
undoubtedly
больше
give you the
спокойствия
wonderful
и
opportunity to
какого-то
expand your
успеха.
knowledge and reach a
Я
completely new level. I
очень
truly believe that
хочу
what
вас
has
всех
just
увидеть,
profoundly
услышать.
happened
Вот,
will give you
есть
more peace and a
очень
certain
интересное
profound sense of
событие, которое,
confidence.
правда, в
I really
России я
want to see
провожу
and
сейчас
hear all of you.
меньше
So
различных практик,
there
но
are
тем не
some
менее
very
все
interesting
равно на
events,
какие-то
although
приглашаю. У меня в
honestly,
январе больше
I'm
ничего
holding
не
fewer
будет.
different
В
practices in
феврале
Russia right
у
now.
меня только
But
в самом начале
nevertheless, I still
предстоит
invite you
третьего
to
курса
some of them
мастера. Но
naturally.
туда
I
можно
won't have
будет
anything else going on in
попасть в
January.
феврале. То есть, если
In February,
вы
I will only
хотите
have the
попробовать
master's
онлайн,
course at the very end,
можно.
from the 21st to the 23rd, but you can attend as a model. So if you want to walk through your own blocks, you can. Our awakened community has already existed for 2 or 3 months now, right? We've been running it for 3 months, and I also invite you to join. Access will be open. Lara says it's already open. So there, we discuss more detailed questions about your transformation. There are a lot of esoteric questions, a lot of my own questions there, and I give you practices to do. I also invite you there, invite you everywhere. Please subscribe. What practice do we have on the 28th? On the 28th of February, we will have an online practice in Russian, 3,500. Right now, it's 3,500. That's how it is. All the rates are still at their minimum because there's still plenty of time. Later, a few days before, the price will be higher. I want to give the floor to those active listeners who want to say or ask something. Okay? So the main part is now finished. Anyone who wants to can stay, and it will be useful because now there will be a live dialogue and I will explain things to you and give detailed answers to your questions. Because right now is one of those moments when you can quickly work through something or learn something new. So it's entirely up to you. As you truly wish, go right ahead. Raise your hand. There is a raise hand function in the chat. Is there such a function, Lera? There is a function. There you go. But does the hand actually go up or not? If it does, take a look. There should be a hand raising option, and accordingly, turn on your microphone. Didn't find it? You didn't find where to raise your hand. Then just turn on your microphone and speak. They can turn on their microphones themselves. So you can just click on the microphone icon. We'll see that you've raised your hand, and then basically we give you the opportunity to speak. At the moment, there is no one who has raised their hand. but there are a lot of thank you messages in the chat. Yes, the recording will be available. Everything is being recorded. So Venera is with us now. Just a second. Speak.
Yes, Venera, go ahead. Turn on your microphone. I've given you permission.
That's how it's done. Everything's great.
Hello.
Yes, hi.
Hello. I wrote my question at the beginning. Now, I guess I'll explain it in more detail out loud. So I have this question. Let's say, for example, two people are attending the practicum, right? Let's say to one, I don't know, an energy practitioner, a healer, or someone else. And one of them has a request, like to get an apartment or win something or something else, for example, right? But this person isn't sure if they'll be able to get it or whether they'll get it or not, for example, right? And it's not that they simply gave up on their initial request, but they just kind of let it go. And another person, well, who just picked it up, right? This energy practitioner who was working with these two people, picked up this energy from the person who let go, right? And transferred it to this other person. And for them, everything truly and completely came through. Can something like this really happen or not? I hope you understood my question.
The energy was transferred from the one who didn't succeed?
Well, as you say, if a person wants something, really wants it, but doesn't actually go for it, then they're just draining their energy. And another person who knows how to work with energy can take that energy and direct it to someone else. And for example, that same desire could materialize and come true for that other person.
So, Luke, thank you. That's a truly great question, Venera. Really, that is indeed a very great question. Please allow me to explain. Physically speaking, we absolutely cannot transfer the energy of money or an apartment or anything else of that nature to anyone else. That is simply just not possible at all. I've actually done this kind of practical thing in real world practice before. Right. I'll explain what it's all about. So, for example, taking money from one person and giving it to another, one person goes bankrupt and another becomes rich. That's not how it works. There are no magical or shamanic rituals here where we cast some kind of spell, take something from one person and give it to another. What works is what I do in my practice. I can't speak for the methods used by other energy practitioners. You understand? I honestly don't know what he was actually doing at that particular moment, to be completely honest. I'm talking about precisely how it's done correctly and how it's truly done in our everyday life. In our lives, we often see a very wealthy, truly successful person. We truly want to be like them. And after a certain significant amount of time, we inevitably become like them. Why exactly is that? Because we develop a strong desire to create more, to do more, and we consequently start earning more money. And that is a good thing. So, in my experience, this is called downloading patterns. We take another person's patterns and adopt them ourselves. This happens all the time. That's how it's possible, and that's how it works in our lives. But I'm not talking about draining energy from someone and pumping it into another.
Well, it's not even about draining. It's just that a person lets it go. They don't pursue it, for example. Yes, he has a desire, but he keeps letting it go, doubting, not being sure about it. The energy just keeps draining away. What I mean is, an energy practitioner who knows how to do this can take that energy and direct it to another person, for example. Is that even possible?
I've done that. But let me say it again, it's not energy, but rather a pattern of possible reality, which a person experiences as a kind of faith or belief that they can truly achieve it.
I see.
This isn't black magic, where we take something from one person and give it to another. The question is, how does an energy practitioner work? How exactly they work, I don't know.
Understood.
Is that clear?
Yes.
That's precisely why the very same action people often watch my videos and they frequently ask, are you truly doing a Kundalini activation? Or do you perhaps have some other distinct method? There are indeed so many different techniques on there. For them, it all appears to look exactly the same in the visual picture. But in actual reality, various different kinds of profound work are truly happening. When someone drives a fancy car, you don't know, did they earn the money? Was it a gift or buy the car on credit? You don't really know that. You don't exactly know what's behind it.
Инна, давай.
Next question. If that's all for now.
Слушаю, говори.
Inna, go ahead. Now I'm opening you up. I'm listening. Go ahead.
Инна, нужно включить микрофон.
Inna, I've given you access.
Если кто-то не может
And we need to turn on the microphone.
Да, Инна, слушаю, да.
Добрый вечер. Я хочу спросить.
If someone can turn it on or manage it. Yes, Ira, I'm listening. Yes.
Good evening. I want to ask a question. We were just talking about energy drain, and it was all theory. I have a pressing question about my personal practice. Please, I truly need your help with this. How do you effectively work through the persistent block of dependence on other people's opinions? I am now 52 years old, and I still distinctly hear my mother's critical voice in my head. What will people think?
Well, there is will. That's quite right. Look, I'll say it once again. What I've explained to you, we can work through quite rationally with our mind, our consciousness. We can write it all out and approach it logically. If you can't manage that, then the next stage of work begins. That's when you move on to body-oriented therapy. After that, you come to me, and then we remove it not from your mind, but from your body. Do you understand? So this needs to be worked through on different levels. We can do this with your body right now. I was only telling you about the method for your thinking just now. But first, you need to clear it here before moving on to the body. The first stage is here. Is that clear?
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Please turn off your microphone. Rada, I'm turning your microphone on. It's on.
Рада, включай микрофон. Если Рада не готова, следующий человек.
Turn it on right away. Don't wait, we're short on time. Rada, turn on your microphone. If Rada isn't ready, the next person.
Good day to everyone. I have a question. It's like I have trouble getting myself out of a difficult rut. So, I mean, a physical rut specifically, right? I'm really looking for some guidance here. Like, after an illness, right? Or like a long period of being unaccustomed to being out in the world, right? So basically, a person has dropped out of life for a certain period of time, basically got stuck, roughly speaking, at home, in their apartment. They might go out for a walk, maybe go shopping for groceries, do some exercise or do something else. But beyond that, it's like there's just none of that.
But why go out? Why leave the house? There's nothing interesting out there.
How can that be? There's socializing, engaging in work, earning some money, and having some personal goals.
Not very interesting.
All right. So how do you make it interesting so you don't just sit at home on the couch?
How do you make it truly interesting? I don't know. I don't know how to create interest. A child is born with interest. The principle of singularity is initially embedded in the body of every person, in their energy structure. They're always curious to climb, crawl, to become aware. Then a lot of triggers start to appear in the body. And when there are a lot of triggers in the body, accordingly triggers and fears, the person develops an aversion to the desire for pleasure. Nothing is interesting, nothing is enjoyable. Life itself becomes uninteresting. How can we help this person create a sense of truly living?
But let's just simply say that the person literally in this specific instance...
Lera wrote a dissertation on this topic. She tell us now.
One of the points, very briefly, wait, just a minute, let me finish my thought. Look, 6 months ago, everything was great for this person. He had a job, everything was going well. Then something triggered him, right? The organization he worked for fell apart and he withdrew into himself. While in this suspended state, he engaged in certain practices, helping people. So everything there was great, effective. In other words, the person is a healer. That's it. But again, he can't even not just return to that familiar place, to that specific job. He can't even go back to the very field where he used to feel completely comfortable and at ease. That's the real problem.
Are you going to speak now? Perhaps?
Right now, I think it's not relevant.
That's all. So I'll speak. Yes, because it's right. It's important to formulate the request correctly, right? What is needed? The person should be passionate about their field. And in any case, if their field doesn't interest them, then they need to find something new. Who can give that to them? Who will push them? Who will motivate them? Nobody. Nobody. He should not move on someone else's energy. He must roll down into some kind of hole in order to really break through it himself. If I take this person, look, the sun is shining, not interesting. Look, you can do business here. Yeah. Well, no, nothing else. There is no other option. Yes.
Sorry if I understood you correctly just now. So he needs to find the zero starting point and begin again, like rewriting his will, like starting from a blank slate, right?
That means the person is fine. So it turns out the person just lives somehow.
Well, yes, of course he exists. Everything is great, wonderful. So if you look at it from the perspective of, say, physics, everything is great, wonderful. He's just stuck in himself. That is in self-discovery, well, in these energies, in perception.
Am I understanding correctly now, the rescuer?
Well, I am the rescuer. Am I talking about myself?
Yes. If you're talking about yourself, then you're definitely talking about yourself as a person.
I think it's just easier to understand this way. I just wanted to convey how it looks.
Well, you need to convey it properly, to be honest with you. Naturally, I truly do not understand at all what it is actually about. If it is about yourself, then it is much easier for you. Then we do not have a rescuer. That means you absolutely have to reach the point where in fact it will simply be utterly impossible to go on living any further, truly reaching point zero. So in this particular state that you're currently in frustration, apathy, depression, and so on, another person can indeed remain for quite a long period of time, right up until they eventually reach some kind of critical boiling point. And for many people, that significant boiling point is money.
Yeah, that's very true. Money is a pretty significant trigger.
As long as there's money in the accounts, once it runs out, then you stop working.
I see. Yeah, it's just that over these 6 months, roughly speaking, there's been a complete rethinking of everything. And basically, I've come back to the point where I was specifically working with bioenergetics. I mean, specifically where I could heal people remotely, heal people, explain things to them, help correct them, guide them. So basically, I was quite suddenly thrown back into these things. I mean, I really hadn't actually used it, probably stepped completely away from this particular topic for about 10 long years. In the end, when all that work-related stuff was finally and completely over, I was gradually and gently brought back onto this very path.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's when I found your channel, then Ivan Smirnov, and now I'm trying to catch up on what I don't know, or rather, what I could sense and see with you, you know? I mean, energetically I could see it, but I couldn't explain it.
So I recommend you do what I did in my own life, because I reached a certain level, burned out on everything, and then nothing interested me anymore. The state of frustration was exactly the same as what I experienced. I just rolled back, well, write it down. I don't know, again.
I am currently writing...
I'm talking, right? So 45 people, almost no one has left. Well done, well done. I love you all. So, when I was truly forced to ask myself this profound question, what in life genuinely fulfills me? Right now, absolutely nothing. So, the very next logical question that came to mind was, what truly fulfilled me in life approximately 5 years ago? Again, nothing. What fulfilled me in life 10 years ago? Again, nothing. I regressed that far back, but usually I work with people as a regression therapist. I'm not a regression therapist, sorry, I'm not, but I do know exactly how to do it. And I regressed back to when I was 18 years old. I left when I was 18 years of age. And back then, at that time, I worked with people with their energy. I didn't learn anything. Of course, it was the 90s, but I was interested. I was just crazy about all of it. I healed people. I realized, wow, this is so cool. but I had no idea how to make money from it at all. Naturally, I just regressed to the very beginning because I started with business at first. So I had a clothing brand. I didn't manage a hotel. That is, I managed different businesses. I did lots of things, but I wasn't passionate about it. It didn't interest me. I went into what I was actually interested in. And then you turn on your brain and start truly thinking about how you can monetize this feeling in your daily life. Then
exactly the feeling, just exactly the feeling.
The feeling is what you need to find, the energy that excites you. For example, someone used to love drawing, right? And now they become channelers who draw, receive information from the cosmos, from somewhere out there, and start drawing. You see what I mean?
I totally get it. I really do.
Some kind of skill. Someone used to love, I don't know, something like, I don't know, maybe predicting, fortune telling or something like that, right? And now I see them laying out tarot cards and they're reading the space. So you need to go back there, feel it, and really live through it. What was so cool and awesome back then, when there were no triggers in your body, when there were no fears, before anyone started putting all that on you in life, what was it really like? Ask yourself this question, feel it, and then you'll be able to take it. And it will really work. Really, some people become designers, I don't know. It's genuine.
Got it. Yeah, I understand.
All right, let's regress to the day before.
That's easy.
Come on, let's do it.
Thank you.
Milena, I am now turning you on. You're on. Milena, I have indeed turned you on. And next, please kindly raise your hand so that I can turn you on. Come on. Who else? I have hands. I see absolutely everyone. Milena, I turned you on. We still need to figure out how to turn on the microphone. Yes. Yes.
Vadim, in fact, there is a slight freeze. The program does not immediately allow you to turn on the microphone, so apparently it does not all appear at once. Vadim, I want to thank you and Lera for coming into my life, for the fact that the energy wave happened in my life. I truly thank you so very much for this insightful broadcast. I already wrote in the chat that it genuinely feels like this is just for me personally, because for the past week and a half, I have been living in a very strong and palpable fear ever since I started running these mini groups for launching the powerful energy wave, which you so expertly taught me. Next Sunday, I will be leading a group that will be significantly larger, and this is really a huge stress and a big fear for me. And I thank you for the information you shared today. I will apply it. I will work through it. Thank you for all the knowledge I have received from you. With all my heart, I love you and Lera, and wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you.
Love you.
Yes. Lera is shouting, we love you, we love you. She's lying next to me on the couch. Thank you, dear. That's exactly how it should be done. That's what you need to do. You won't get there on the first try. You've been coming into our space for quite a significant while now. Yes, you're diligently learning, you're actively practicing, but life keeps sending you some kind of challenging test. They will always be there when you choose the right path, and there will always be setbacks. You can't avoid them. They're always there to test the sincerity of your intention. Setbacks, tests, all the rest, it's normal. I've had plenty of them in my life. Every week, some kind of crap happens. The question is, how do we respond to it? Thank you. Thank you, Milena. I'm turning on Irina now, so you can join in as well. As they say, there's a bit of a delay. The microphone doesn't turn on right away. There you go. So please raise your hands in advance so I can turn on the microphone right away. As you can see, Milena mentioned that the microphone doesn't turn on immediately.
Которые не дал еще. Вот. Я очень хочу, чтобы вы все-таки вошли в реальность в офлайн, чтобы мы с вами встретились, чтобы я с вами мог поработать, чтобы мог вам помочь настолько, насколько могу. Даже если я создам поле и к вам лично не прикоснусь, в группе все равно найдется тот человек, важный для вашей жизни, который может вскрыть какой-то ваш вопрос и что-то вам подсветить. Это важно. Поэтому очень рекомендую 22 февраля, 23 февраля прийти в качестве модели. То есть у меня будет курс мастеров. Курс мастеров дорогой, он стоит 120 тысяч рублей. Вот, где вы сможете за 7 тысяч рублей поучаствовать и проработать свои блоки. Там будут уже прокачанные люди, которые смогут с вами поработать. Нам нужно будет человек точно 10, вот, потому что у нас уже 10 мастеров есть. До 21 февраля еще много времени, еще люди набегут, но тем не менее я хочу, чтобы вы поучаствовали. Я дал слово, открыл доступ, чтобы вы нажали кнопочку, кто руку поднимал, поэтому говорите, либо мы отключаемся. Угу. И, соответственно, всем остальным людям. Если вы хотите, чтобы я что-то вам сказал, если вы хотите просто сказать спасибо, спасибо большое за эфир, тоже буду благодарен. И, соответственно, да.
Извиняюсь, можно еще один вопросик маленький? Вот это получается, я беру энергию из этого места или это у меня как альфа-состояние идет?
Какого места?
Когда я откатываюсь назад, но я имею в виду регрессирую назад, да, в то время, где у меня было с энергией все как бы отлично, то есть, ну, максимум ее для реализации.
Вы не берете энергию из какого-то места. Вы берете вероятность вашего события, которое предоставляет вам удовольствие от качества прожитых эмоций, и его реализуете, это состояние.
Все понятно, теперь поняла.
Рада, вы слишком очень буквально относитесь к понятию энергии, которую откуда-то нужно забирать.
Ну да, как учили, так и действую.
Так работает, все проще. Приходите на курс обучу. Убирайте эти папки. Вы откуда-то забираете, кому-то даете.
Все понятно.
Да.
Благодарю. Спасибо большое. Прям сегодня прям в нужное время, в нужном месте.
Ну, круто, круто. Дай Бог вам счастья и здоровья. Вот.
Благодарю.
Да, давайте, кто включайте микрофон, и я кому-то дал доступ. Я не помню кому, Ирина или кто-то кому-то еще. Вот. Иначе мы все. Давайте, считаю до 10 и закрываем эфир тогда. Вот, друзья, спасибо за то, что вы написали. Мне ваши слова важны. Я действительно надеюсь, был полезным. Приходите, вступайте в сообщество. Ссылка расписания, где с переходом на нашу группу в пробужденных стоит всего лишь 1100 рублей в месяц. Специально для вас. Там круто, много крутых практик. Присоединяйтесь. Давайте. И всего вам благ, всего хорошего. Я отсоединяюсь. До свидания.